To me, the marathon is a beautiful struggle, a mentally and physically exhausting battle with oneself. It's a painful experience, yet it brings immense pleasure. It's truly poetic. I am 6 weeks away from running the Ballarat Marathon on April 27th. After a grueling 10 weeks of training in the Aussie heat, including a cyclone last week, I'm ready to fully commit to the next 4 peak weeks. I'll be introducing tougher sessions and higher mileage than ever before, all with the one goal I've been itching to tick off since Melbourne, the elusive 2:45 barrier. This is Project Ballarat 2:45. Hello everyone, and welcome back to Project Ballarat 2:45. We are now 2 weeks out from the big show. This is the Training Diaries, an episode where I deep dive into the previous week of training, a conversation regarding everything that goes into preparing and training for a sub 2:45 marathon. A podcast style video that you can listen to while you're on your sacred Monday treadmill run. The Ballarat peak weeks are officially done. 4 weeks of big boy mileage and big boy sessions officially are completed. And if you remember last week's episode, I said something along the lines of, I feel like I could keep doing this for another 10 weeks. Well, I take that back. Last week was an absolute grind. A combination of going a little too hard on my Wednesday leg day and sprinkling in a little bit of extra mileage throughout the week really seemed to make a difference. But with that being said, I finished the block without any niggles or hiccups. Oh, and I managed my biggest week ever, ticking over 142 kilometers total mileage for the week. Let's fucking go. It's TT, baby. What's TT? It's taper time. I'm both relieved and anxious at the same time because I know that the hard work is done, but the hardest part is still yet to come. I'm also really nervous about cramping during the race. I'd be lying if I said that it hasn't been on my mind. Like, I know that I've done everything that I can, but has it been enough? It slightly terrifies me, to be honest. But there's no point worrying about the what ifs. It's out of my control now. So last week we featured a race against a city cat, my first track session in months, and my longest run of the block. So let's get into the training deep dive of the week that was the 7th to the 13th of April. And just a reminder, I will of course be answering all of your questions that you've sent to me on Instagram after we go through the training diaries. Okay, we got to kick it off with Monday. We had a treadmill 60. I ran 11.42 kilometers and 5:15 average, 1 hour on the treadmill. Let's move on. Tuesday, I came to my first session of the week. So I was actually invited by a couple of guys down to the local track. They're visiting the Gold Coast for the month, I think, and they were just recruiting some people, asking people to join in on their sessions down on the track. So I decided to go down there. I was with Conrad and Fred, and we actually got some pretty cool photos, some pretty cool content. Conrad has a YouTube channel as well if you want to check him out, Conrad Quick, if you want to check his channel out. But they originally had another session, and I said, I'm just gonna do my session, and you guys do whatever, and they ended up joining in on mine. So it kind of ended up being me showing the big boppers around the track and keeping them on pace. But what we did for the session was we did a shorter warm-up than I usually do. We did a 3K warm-up. I was heavily influenced by running with others on this one, so I was a little bit out of routine. But we ran that one at just over 5-minute pace. And then we got into the session. So the session that I wanted to do, because I wasn't planning on going to the track for a session, I wanted to do a session that would be enjoyable on the track. So I went with 4x2K, run at marathon pace, and we just did a lap jog in between. So the first 2 kilometer rep was 3:58 and 3:49. I think we were just kind of settling into pace on that first K, and then we really started to dial it in. The lap jog was just honestly a recovery jog, and if I'm being honest, the boys that were with me, they were already pushing pretty hard. So yeah, we definitely kept it to a recovery jog. And then the next rep was 3:48, 3:51. So perfect, dialed that in. I will note that during this session, it was noticeably cooler than it has ever been. Well, it's ever been this year, or since summer has decided to grace us with its heat. So I was feeling amazing. And I don't know, something about the track, you always do feel a bit more springy and there's a bit more of a pep in your step. So I was feeling really good. And by this stage, marathon pace is feeling really, really good. and is feeling really doable at the moment. So yeah, this session the effort level was fairly low. I would say maybe like a 7 out of 10, maybe even less. There wasn't really a point here where I was struggling, which is a really good sign. Not trying to talk myself up, but I think, yeah, it's just a really good sign, and that's kind of how it should be, I guess, this deep into the block, or this close to the race. Then we had our lap jog. Next one was 3:48, 3:50, 3:47, and 3:33 for the last one. We got to 2 laps to go in that 2Ks, and I decided to turn the gas on just a little bit, just to show the boys what's up, just to show the boys what a runner can do rather than, say, a high rocks athlete. So I just had to show them, I don't put runner in the name for nothing. No, I'm just kidding. But I did turn it on. I couldn't help myself. The camera was out. Had to turn it on. So yeah, 3:47, and then yeah, the last one, 3:33. So a little bit faster, but overall, completely in control. Felt really, really good. The boys actually decided to do a standing recovery before that last 2K rep because they were hurting a little bit. But overall, they should be happy with their efforts because, yeah, that's definitely moving. I managed to clock up 15 Ks for the morning. And in the afternoon, I did a cheeky 30-minute double. So there's 2 reasons for this. The first reason is because a new shoe arrived and I really just wanted to test it out before I wore it on the Wednesday Longy coming up. And those shoes were, of course, the Evo SL from Adidas. So that's one of the shoes I've wanted to try for, so long, and I was just too excited to get out there. So I jumped on the treadmill for 30 minutes in those. Another reason was because you would have seen, or you would have heard me mention earlier in the video, that it was my biggest week ever and I ran over 140K for the week. And this is how I plan to do it. Sprinkle a bit of Ks throughout the week. So it's not too much of a massive jump for, any one session or any one run. So I was both adding mileage and testing out a shoe. Shock, the shoe felt amazing, almost a little too good. Super Blast killer? I don't know, you'll have to wait until I do a full review on these bad boys, but lots to say, but I won't talk about it now just because I will talk about this shoe forever, okay? And I might actually be talking about this a little bit later in the video. So, but we ran 5-minute Ks, 6 Ks in total, just 30 minutes on the treadmill. So then we come to the next day, our midweek long run. So I've been religiously doing 20K for this one because I was adding the extra mileage, sprinkling a little bit more. I did a little bit more. So we did 21.39 Ks. This one was done at 4:42 pace, so it is 1 hour and 40 in duration. I did this one in the Evo SLs, so that was part of the reason why one of the reasons why I wanted to run in them on the treadmill the day before, just because I wanted to test them out, make sure I wouldn't get any blisters, hot spots, and just to make sure that they weren't too narrow for my toes. Because yeah, committing to 1 hour and 40-minute run in brand new shoes, I would not recommend that to anybody unless you've worn the shoe before. That just sounds bloody crazy to me. But yeah, I wrote here in a little description, cooler weather is welcome, Evo SL masterclass this morning. So yeah, you can probably tell by now that I'm enjoying that shoe. Sprinkling a little bit of mileage once again. So then we come to our Thursday morning. So Thursday morning, this one was 13K and 4:48 pace. Usually I do an easy hour, but I wore the Evo SLs, and at this stage, I'm almost putting them in the same category as a super shoe. So when you wear them, it just makes you want to kind of run faster. So I did that one a little bit quicker and I got 13K for the morning. Talking about that sprinkle, baby, talking about that sprinkle. And yeah, so 13Ks for the morning. Then we had the 40-minute double in the afternoon. I decided, no, Dave, do not wear the SLs for the 4th run in a row. Do not do that to yourself. Chuck on the Rebel V4s for this one. And the more I wear these for my easy doubles, the more I think I really do enjoy wearing them. I think just because it's just a bit of it just is a shoe that doesn't blow you away. It just gets the job done. And I think it's comfortable enough. It's comfortable enough that I like it. But we did 8 kilometers in total, 5-minute pace, 40 minutes. So what is that for the day? That's a cheeky 21-kilometer day again. Mileage is getting up. Then we come to Friday. So Friday, usually I would have a session. So this Friday was Very, very different. You may remember me saying that I raced a city cat. You're probably thinking, Dave, what the hell is a city cat? So in Brisbane City, they have these boats that are like public transport. They're like these big, I guess, they're just these big river boats that are almost like, public transport and basically like a water bus, essentially. So I linked up with the guys at Chapter Athletic. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I jumped on that podcast last week, and there's some pretty cool content all around that. Basically, they're just a group from Brisbane that love running and making running content. They have their own YouTube channel as well if you want to check those guys out. You may know one of them, Darcy, who's my podiatrist and my strength training coach. He is one of the members there, and they invited me along to help film a video or be a part of a video that they've got coming out very shortly. I won't spoil too much, but basically it was a relay. There was 4 of us, and we'd all be on the City Cat, and one person would run from one stop to the next stop and try to get there before the cat, and then the next person would go. And we were basically racing the City Cat. So you'll have to tune in, or you'd have to wait and see how that video turns out, or I'll let you guys know when it's available or when they've released it, and you have to see how we went. But that's why you will see a 1 kilometer warm-up, so random, but that was me running to the City Cat to start, to get ready. And then I ran 3.61K in total at 3:45 pace. So the way that the legs ended up, I was the second last leg, and they timed it, and they said that you have to run a 4-minute mile, which is outrageous. And I ended up not running a 4-minute mile, but I ended up, spoiler alert, beating the cat somehow anyway. So that's why it looks like a weird negative split. We got like 3:25 for the first K, 3:36, 3:54, and then 4:16. The reason that it slowed down is because, one, I absolutely sprinted for my life on that first K and then blew up. And the way that they organized it was the very last leg, it was going to be all of us together, and just me being an idiot, and I ran as hard as I could on my leg, and then I was effed. I was stuffed, cooked, and they were like, you got to go again, because we're all going again for the last one. So then I had to kind of like get my shit together and run again. So that's why, it was a bit of a negative split blow up. But that was the speed section of the morning. And then, of course, everybody else, they go to work. They're not marathon training. They don't have Ks to hit like myself. I had to get the mileage done. So what did I do? I did a cool down on my own at 7:30 a.m. So it was late. It was hot. I had no headphones. Sore legs from an all-out sprint. Already had sore legs from that Wednesday workout, which I went a little bit too hard in. And I did 12.5K, 4:58 pace, and an hour and 2 minutes. I did that solo dolo, and I wrote here, disgusting solo run, no headphones, sore legs, bad vibes, need that mileage though. And a few people commented saying like, oh, it's still a good run, mate, blah, blah, blah. And I realized it probably looked like I was genuinely depressed when I wrote that, but I was just complaining about nothing. Like, I'm okay. I'm all good. But thank you for your concerns, guys. I did that one in the Evo SL. Shock. You might hear that word a fair bit around these parts for the foreseeable future. Then we come to Saturday. Saturday, I woke up sorer than life itself, whatever that means. I was so sore. Oh, it was tough. Tough. I had work at 6:30, so what did I have to do? Got up early, ran at 4:45. I did an hour, which got me 12 Ks, 5-minute pace, nothing special, but I really just had to grind that one out and get it done. I did that one in, let's look at the shoes. Did that one in the New Balance Rebel V4. I wanted a bit of a softer alternative to the Evo. And like I said before, the Evo, it does have that super shoe feel to it. So I don't really want to just be wearing it all the time and smashing every single easy run in them. Because to me, running easy in those doesn't really feel like an easy run. It's just my little hot take. But then we come to the last day of the week. So you're probably doing the math in your head. How many Ks is he up to right now? And I will tell you now, when I finished on Saturday, I was 104 kilometers for the week. So what did that mean? If I wanted to get 140 Ks for the week, I needed to do at least 36 Ks for my Sunday long run. So for this Sunday long run, I didn't have any effort plans. I purely just wanted to get time on feet, and I wanted to run at least 2 hours and 45 minutes, just because I wanted my body to go, okay, this is what 2 hours and 45 minutes feels like to run for that duration. That's what it feels like. And I kind of wanted to be reminded of just how long 2 hours 45 is. And that's exactly what we did. We ran 37.5 kilometers. This one was at 4:29 pace average, and it was 2 hours and 47 minutes. The biggest shift of the block, the biggest run that I think I've done since probably Melbourne Marathon. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like, you're not just going out and running 37.5 Ks, are you? Unless you're doing it for a race or you're training for an event. So I guess that's besides the point. But I wrote here, one of those runs where I felt like I could have kept running. Finished through the infamous spit trails for some fun. Ballarat peak weeks done. Negative splits. So we started the run fairly reserved. I think the first K was 5:15. And then you can see here, I'll put the splits up on the screen, but you can just see every kilometer we were kind of just chipping away the pace and speeding it up ever so slightly. I was lucky enough to have Rini, who was joining me for the entire run. I mean, you can always count on her to smash out a big run with. She actually did the same run last week, so she's a beast. Anyway, and we had other people with us for maybe the first 20K, and then we dropped off the last few people, I think at 29K, and that was when we made it back to where we started at the main beach pavilion, and then we continued on just solo with Rini and I, continued on through the spit trails. Okay, so the spit trails are about 3 kilometers in distance, and it's gravel, sand, all sorts. It kind of goes up and down. It's lots of fun, but we also joke around about how it's a graveyard, and that's where Rini takes us out to kill us, because she always just hammers the pace, and then you just slowly die a slow death through those trails. So they can definitely be hit and miss, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I was thinking about those spit trails to finish off this massive long run, and I was thinking, geez, am I gonna be okay? But I was just so shocked, so surprised with how good I felt for pretty much the entire run. I wore the Evo SLs, and I'm pretty much convinced that they're basically just an Adios Pro 3. They've got the same foam, and that's exactly what they feel like. They just feel like a more comfortable Adios Pro 3. So if you love that shoe, buy yourself some Evo SLs, because you're gonna love them as well. And they showed up beautifully. Yeah, like I said earlier, we managed to just chip away at the pace, and my heart rate didn't hit 160 really until 30K deep. And that was exactly when we hit the trails as well. So pretty solid with that one. And the pace did slow a little bit going through the trails, but that is to be expected. I think the GPS kind of plays up, and because it is up and down through gravel. I will say though that the Evos, they weren't the best going through like sand and stuff, because they are still quite high stacked and quite narrow. They don't have they don't have the biggest base for your foot to land on. So if you do have ankles that roll in chronically, then maybe it won't work very well for you, but it was doing the job just well enough that they felt good during this trail spit. We actually hit 34K, which was that last turnaround, and we were making our last stretch back through the trails back to home, and we managed to pick up the pace every single K. So 34th K was 4:14, 35th, 4:14, 4:08, 4:03, and then we finished the last one, 3:58. And I remember looking down at my watch, and we were running 3:50s, and I thought, this is how the marathon's gonna feel. If I feel this good during the marathon, it's gonna be an amazing day, because I honestly felt like I could have kept running a marathon Maybe that was because I fueled well. Maybe it was because I'm just so used to absolutely smashing myself every Sunday on these big workouts, these big long run sessions, so that when I got to a run where it was just like a bit of a progressive run, bit of a progression, and there was no like specific paces that we had to hit, we were just running. Maybe that's when my fitness really started to shine, and maybe that's why it was easier and I wasn't so smashed at 35k. Probably a combination of all those things, but all I can say is that I could not have finished the block with a better long run. Like, I'm just so proud of how that went, and I'm just so stoked, and I'm just so ready to rip in 2 weeks. Like, it's 2 weeks now. It's taper time. Like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. You think you've got all the time in the world, which you do, and then all of a sudden, bang, it's taper time, and you're like, holy shit, all right, the marathon's literally next Sunday, which is just wild. And that was how I finished off my 142 kilometer week, my behemoth week, my biggest and last peak week of the Project Ballarat 245 series. That concludes the training breakdown segment of the Training Diaries episode. What we're going to get into now is the viewer Q&A, where you guys have asked me questions on my Instagram story, and then I've hand selected ones that I think you guys will get the most benefit from, and we're going to do it rapid fire. So the first one is from Chad11 Waters. So, looking to buy my first watch. I run and swim. Would you go Garmin or Coros? And what model? Honestly, you're going to get the same from a Garmin and a Coros. They're pretty much the same. I would say that the Coros is maybe a little bit less premium. If you're looking for a more entry-level watch that can do both, maybe the Pace 3 is great. That's what I use, and it does everything I need. You can do workouts on it. It's really great. But if you're looking for a more premium watch with maybe a more premium screen, you can go for the Garmin Forerunner 945, I think it's called. That has an amazing screen, looks really vibrant, LED looks great, and yeah, you can put workouts on and everything. So it is very similar to a Pace 3. It just really depends how much money you want to spend. And maybe the other benefit with the Garmin is that you can sync Spotify to it. So if you want to listen to music offline and save songs onto like playlists onto your watch, then I would recommend getting the Garmin, maybe paying a little bit of extra and getting the Garmin for that. Next one is run with me now. So how long have you been long distance running? Long distance running, I guess the only running I've really ever done is long distance. I've never done any track, or I've never ran a 3K race. The shortest distance I've run is a 5K race, and though I've never really made a 5K race my key race, it's always just been basically like half marathons and marathons. And you just do all the shorter distances in preparation for those. So I guess I've been long distance running for, 4 years now, maybe a little bit longer. So yeah. Next one's from Jasper Endersby. So what are you doing to prevent cramping this time round? I hate cramps. Me too, mate. Me too. So I don't know if you've seen any of the previous videos, but I do harp on about that I have been implementing lots of strength training this time, because I do think that the lack of strength training and just having weak legs made my legs cramp up when the going got tough near the back end of the marathon. I always seem to fuel really well, and so what I'm doing to mitigate that is I've been doing strength training in my legs for the last 4 months, and I've picked a cooler marathon. So hopefully, fingers crossed, no more cramps. Next one's from Hamish. So keen to hear why your trainer recommended no longer than 1 hour in the New Balance Fuel Cell Rebel V4. I think he was pretty much just saying that it is just a bit of a basic shoe that doesn't really give you much support. So doing like a super long run in that can just make some muscles overwork, and my ankle does tend to roll in a fair bit. So I think he was just being careful, just being mindful that I don't overdo it wearing that shoe that doesn't really have much stability. Hopefully that answers your question. Next one. This one, I'm going to add 2 questions together because they're both the same. So Reese Bishop, how do you manage/avoid burning out? And the other one is from Chill Out. So new runner going from a half to a full marathon, best way to increase mileage without injury. So both of these questions can be answered if you watch my previous uploads where I talk about how you can become a mileage machine and just a few things that you should consider when building up the mileage. So that definitely, and yeah, how to do it without burning out. So that definitely applies for both of those questions. The best way to increase mileage without getting injured and without burning out. Next one's from Jakey K. So best shoe for easy runs. Well, I'm just going to go with my own personal opinion. I think the best shoe for an easy run is the Neo Zen. It's cheap, it's comfortable, and I love it. So this next one is 2 questions in one. I'm just going to add them together because they'll both get similar answers. So first one's from Aaron Parker 98. So how did the Evo SL hold up for the long run? Have a pair and would love to try them out. And then from Bonos, how did the Evo SL go? Use them for a long run in comparison to other similar shoes. So yeah, they did really, really well for a long run. I don't know if I would enjoy them as much at a slow plod long run. So like just a really slow recovery sort of plod. I think they do shine at the tempo paces. So around maybe 30 seconds slower than marathon pace. So for me, it would be around that 420 to 430 pace. That's when they really seem to feel the best for me. I think they're perfect for a long run session where you're going to pick it up, but you still want to have that comfort aspect to it where you're not wearing a race shoe that's going to be really uncomfortable, probably hurt your toes, but you're going to get that performance aspect. I think you're going to get that from the Evo SL. It is quite comfortable. It's light. It's pretty much, like I said before, it's an Adidas Pro 3, just in a training shoe upper. So hopefully that answered your questions, guys. And then the last question's from Bruno Border. So how was your subs fueling during the weekly training? So supplements, I take Pillar Performance, Triple Mag, and Immune C. I put those both together. I have that every night just to help with my recovery and my sleep. And then what's some other supplements that I have? I also have fish oil, B12, and I take protein. So I'll try to prioritize protein after workouts, and I also try to prioritize carbs before workouts. I think that's really, really important to making sure that you're going into your sessions fueled. I don't really understand why people would want to go for a run or to do a session fasted. I mean, each to their own. I'm not going to say that what they're doing is wrong, but I just personally, I couldn't do it. I would just feel so lethargic and I would just feel so hungry. Like I'm hungry right now just thinking about the breakfast I had. So I try to have food, like a big carb hit before every run that I do, every session, absolutely. And then I try to replenish after big workouts with, hydrating and with my carbs and my protein after every workout as well, just to refuel the body. And just like your body is, you got to refuel your body so that it can recover properly, essentially. Oh, and I do take creatine every day, 5 grams. I just chuck it in my electrolytes. Don't even notice it's there. Don't ask me what the benefits are. I haven't really looked into it a crazy amount, but I've heard it helps with recovery, it helps with performance, and I think it's just something that seems to be everyone seems to say that everybody should be taking creatine. So I've jumped on it. I take the Pill Performance creatine, and yeah, I've been taking that every day for maybe 6 months now. So do I know this is the difference? I don't know. But yeah, that's my answer. But we are getting so close to the marathon, guys. We're now 2 weeks out. It's taper. The idea for the next 2 weeks, guys, for this taper, we're gonna cut the mileage down, but we're gonna keep some intensity in there because I just wanna keep the legs ticking over as well. Don't want to take the foot off the gas too much, but don't worry, I will definitely be resting. So definitely tune in to next week to see how my first week of taper has gone down. But I hope you guys have been enjoying this series so far. If you have, make sure you consider liking it, subscribe so you don't miss any of the future content, especially the Ballarat Marathon race day vlog that's coming. That's the big one. It's going to be amazing. And share it with your friends if you think that they would find this helpful or if you found it helpful yourself. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.